Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Bad boards, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when he comes for you? Bad boards, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when he comes for you? Caps is filmed on location with a man of Ohm's Law enforcement. All boards are innocent until proven guilty in the concrete subterrane. Good evening and welcome to Computerized Start. I am your host, Justin D. Morgan, and I had been thinking about that all day, and I just had to do it. I apologize for the lengthy delay, but when you stack Mogurts on top of Mogurts on top of Mogurts, and you only have 32 gigabytes of RAM in your computer, well, it just kind of bottlenecks it. All right, let's see who we have in the chat here. In no particular order, we have Trina, who was first and has been hanging out the longest, Thomas Armstrong, Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack, Eric's Edge, Retro Techie, it is not fixed yet, Adam McGee, thank you for collecting parts for me, and Retro Tech or Die, welcome. Yes, I think I've got everyone that's in the chat, and this is actually Computerized Start, but I actually have written out a script that's sitting over here, so if you're a channel supporter, you'll get to see it first, but I'm actually going to have an extended edition of Caps. So I'll probably re-record the song too, because I had time to do exactly 2 takes, because the first one, I blew out the audio. I need to figure out setting levels. But without further ado, I have the Franklin Ace 1000 motherboard on the bench. It did move, but that was just to take the picture of it for the intro. I've been thinking about what's going on with this board, and I think there are 3 things I need to do first. Unless, of course, one of them ends up being the problem. But the first thing I need to do is check the reset signal, because I forgot to do that last night. I should have checked to make sure the reset signal on the processor was behaving properly, because if it is not behaving properly, then there's no chance the CPU is going to come out of reset, and that would explain the problem. If that isn't it, then the second thing I need to do is reflow the CPU socket, which I probably should have done, but I asked Joe about it. I described the symptoms and asked if it could be something with the socket, and he said, yeah, actually, it might be that. So I will try reflowing the socket with some fresh leaded solder, because if that doesn't fix it, then the third step is to replace the CPU socket, because I do want to check under the CPU socket on the board. So without further ado, let's go to step 1, and for that I do need to pull up the pinout, because I don't remember which pin it is, but it should be pin 40. All right. Let's see here. I believe I believe my oscilloscope probe will reach to 1040. And I might actually be able to clip it precariously. Maybe not. Actually, it would probably help if I didn't have things sitting on the cord. It might actually stretch a little further. There we go. Oh. All right. Hold on. I think I can actually clip this oscilloscope probe so that I don't have to try to hold it. And all this for a test that'll take like probably less than 5 seconds to complete. All right, so let me clip on something that is negative. Actually, that's 12 volts negative, but that's fine. I think they're all tied together. All right. Yeah, I probably will just replace the socket anyways, but I do want to see what the reset signal is doing. All right. Let's see. Oh, one last thing, because if I don't do this first, then OBS will probably do some mean scaling. There we go. Change the input, if I can find the remote control, which likes to hide. Oh, I can just reach it. Should be VGA2. And 3, 2, 1. Well, that actually might explain it. That is a really bad looking signal. I might have to reflow the socket anyways because it might be the problem. But that means that, all right. So I have actually, some of my list also was derived by the chart that was in the back of the manual that I forgot was there because it is at the plumb back of the technical reference. But Franklin Computer actually published a troubleshooting guide, and what clued me in to check the reset was Q5 here, where it said the 22A transistor, and I figured out the only transistor that, well, there's only two, and they're actually 3904s, which is a lower spec version of the 222A, but the only one that made sense was this one, because the other one is in the video signal, and if it wasn't working, then it would be a different type of garbage. But that is in the reset signal. So actually, what I want to do is clip the transistor, or actually, let me see here. Actually, I think I do want to clip the transistor, and I want to clip the emitter, which I think is this pin. Ooh. And let me see. One of these two pins I think is a ground reference. It's not that one. Not. Wow. That, oh, you can't see the oscilloscope. All right, that is one of the signals on the transistor. I think that is Oh, wait, no, that's not the emitter. I think that is the RB7 1K. Ah, here we go. You know, I can clip this resistor here. That's on the reset circuit. Ooh, that looked awful. That looks awful. That. All right. I'm actually going to clip pin 3 of the 555 because I think I know what the one candidate of the problem, although I think I'm still going to take the CPU out and check it. I'm just looking on the, let's see, ZC1, which is B. Okay, whoops. So I think, let's see, pin 3 is the output of the 555. Well, I'm just going to have to hold this because oh, wow, that capacitor did not like that at all. Oh, that's because that was the positive side of the capacitor. I bet my oscilloscope didn't like that at all. All right. You know, I'm going to change inputs for good measure. Waveform off, channel 1. All right, I'm going to change probes just to double check. All right, so let me see here. Clip the negative. Touch the lead. That is hi, Action Retro. Yeah, Franklin did use dual wipe sockets. So they should be good. All right. Well, when I took the 555 timers out yesterday, I'm not sure if I got them in back the same way, but I'm wondering if one of the 555 timers is, one or both of them have gone bad. So I'm going to swap the two 555 timers. And if they are defective, then I will see if I can't find a way to simulate their output using a jumper wire. I'm sure there's got to be a way. All right. But maybe my 555, or the other thing is I do have some clipped leads, or clipped capacitors. That is just a bunch of noise. All right. Let me try a quick repair here, because I did clip a few capacitors yesterday in the thought that they were bad, and I'm just going to put a dab of solder on the pins to actually, let me do this. Adam, I just swapped them, and I'm still seeing noise, but I do need to fix some. Oh, wait a minute. I know why I've got noise now. Oh, maybe not. No, that diode's in the speaker circuit. Never mind. I think the yeah, maybe I've got. Could both of my 555 timers have gone bad? At the same time? All right, I do need to fix, let me fix a few things that I did yesterday in the quest to troubleshoot things. All right, so one of the things I did is I clipped the lead of a diode. So I do have IN 4148s. That's the type of diode that I clipped. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace that diode. Also, I clipped, I think it was 2 capacitors leads, thinking they might have been shorted or defective. I'm just going to put a little dab of solder to reconnect them. But I just want to rule out that those items aren't the real reason why it's not working. The thing is, if the 555 timers are bad, I don't think I have any 555 timers, believe it or not. Now, if there's something I can do to simulate what the reset one does, which I would think if I connect VCC to Q, then that might do it. Someone in the chat could, I don't think it needs the keyboard to start up properly, because I didn't have the keyboard when I first started working on it. And while I wait for my desoldering iron to heat up, I am trying to think if there are any of the electronics kits that I have over back on the shelf, if any of them might have a 555 timer. But I don't think they do. Arrgh. Franklin bent the pins. So now I get to unbend the pins. Or maybe what I'll do is, all right, well, the one side of the diode came out really easy. Of course, there was nothing there. I guess what I'll do is use I'll heat the solder up and then pull the diode out with a pair of pliers, maybe? Nope, I don't think it's going to cooperate for that. Never mind. Ah, that is the ground lead. Fun. All right. All right, let me go to some solder braid, get some of the solder up so I can then bend the pin and maybe... Wow. Okay, Franklin really bent the pin over. I guess they figured no one would ever possibly need to replace this diode, ever. All right. Actually, I know what I'm going to do. This is actually... I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner. Suck the solder out from the other side of the board. Anti-right to... Yeah. Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if it's because they... Well, no, I doubt someone hand soldered this. That would be just really weird. Yeah, and the side that was bent over really well is the side that's on the ground plane. Fun. All right. Let's see here. Oh, actually, let me do it this way. If I would appreciate if anybody has any suggestions of how to remove the serial number label off this board, I would kind of like to remove it because I'm probably going to have to ultrasonically clean this board. I'm trying my best not to because I don't want to lose the label, but there we go. I got the pin out. So now let me take the diode and unnecessarily take my fancy Canadian lead forming tool. So that maybe no one will notice that I ever removed the diode. There we go. And then, because I would like that component to look nice and pretty, I am going to find some tape and hold that component down. I was going to use Kapton tape, but I have no idea where it went on the bench. I guess the one good thing about replacing the... Oh, it was right beside me. Never mind. Ah, and it's almost like I was never even working the board. Other than I didn't bend my leads over like a madman. Oh, also the diode I used is smaller than the originals, but oh well. Okay, and then to fix the two capacitors I clipped, which are actually not bad, at least until I can get replacements from Mauser, because I'm going to order axial replacement caps. I'm just going to use a little dab of solder to well, oh, that's not going to work. Never mind. Okay, that's actually not going to work. I'm going to, I guess, just go ahead and replace those two capacitors with some ceramic caps that I already have. All right. I'll probably replace them again when I get the axials. Oh, that's the ground plane one. Probably got to get it from this side. Actually, I probably could have used those leads, but well, I'm just going to replace them with some radial ceramics because I think these are just I think these are just the 0.1 microfarad. I'll double check CB1 and of the like 150 axial glass capacitors on this board, or 150 or so, I think 134 of them are 0.1 microfarad, so well, that one's marked 10 to the fourth. So that is CB1. All right, so that is a 0.1 microfarad, so I can go ahead and replace that. And then CD2. CD2 is a 0.1 microfarad. The odds were in my favor, apparently. All right. This is definitely where I'm going to use that fancy lead straightener to make it look nice and as pretty as it can. Actually, you know, maybe I could I'm trying to decide if I want to recap this entire board. Because I'm trying to decide how reliable glass capacitors are. quite honestly, I don't know that I really need to. I'm really not sure any of them are actually defective. I think the problem with the board is other problems, which would mean I could just replace the axial electrolytics and the ones in the power supply, which would be a lot cheaper. All right. Oh, cool. Floppy disks. All right. Somewhere I have another couple pairs of these. Because I bought some stuff from Hacko when they had a special where you place an order, you get a bunch of those, and, well, beats me if I know where the others have gone to. All right. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. I see it. There it is. And kind of off screen because there we go. So I guess if anyone has any commentary on replacing glass axial caps, which I'm kind of thinking might be unnecessary in this case, I would be interested to know your thoughts. Or if I should just maybe replace the electrolytics and the power supply and be done with it. And yeah, those don't look quite as pretty as the original parts, but honestly, I think with as many parts as are on this board, it'll probably still be obvious that there's two radials among all the axial caps. But the important thing is I can rule out that I created an antenna with those clipped capacitors that's feeding noise into the circuit somewhere. And plus, I didn't like having some parts that I could just bend over and short into something. All right. So there's that. So there's the diode that I clipped last night and I've replaced. And well, you can see where the two radial capacitors went. So actually, Adam, that's pretty cool of 80 5¼ floppy disks. All right. Okay, I think the next thing I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to pop the CPU and check the reset signal, what it's doing. This is the CPU that was originally in the Atari 400, which should still be good. But what I want to do is actually try to stick the oscilloscope probe in the socket for pin 40, or at least hold it there. Let me see if I can find a nice ground location that I can actually reach. Here we go. I think that I can reach that. All right, so I can see on the oscilloscope that, all right, so there's the noise before I turn it on. And, ooh. Well, that's certainly not what I was expecting. It is held high, but there's a problem there. It's actually at 1.71 volts, which is not the correct level, I don't think. That doesn't look, that's 2, 4, so that's... Wait a minute. Oh, that's pin 9. Is that pin 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is pin 8. That should be power. And that certainly doesn't really look like a good power signal. So that's actually on one of the capacitors. That's what I've thought VCC should look like on the CPU. That's ground. That's some signal that I don't remember what it is. That's phase 1. Oh, that's ready. Oh, phase 1. Okay, that's IRQ. That is a signal mark, question mark on the pinout I'm looking at. That's non-maskable interrupt. That is sync. And that is VCC. Yeah, it's 2 volts per division. I got things, all right. I think the socket needs to come off because that did not look right. I need to actually see what's going on under the socket. Well, at least they didn't bend the pins over on the socket. Although the reset signal doesn't look right, but I sure expected power to look fine at the CPU socket. Oh, that's the one thing I forgot. I meant to look at reset without the CPU. Oh, wait, I did, but I forgot what it looked like. Okay, Hold, please. Sometimes I have the attention span of a dog getting distracted by the squirrel in the yard. Yeah, that's the reset signal. So, I mean, the other problem is, so there isn't the second problem. Well, actually, there's the 555 output. It's at 4 volts. That wait a minute. That looks really weird. Okay, so that's the one 555 timer output. And I think this is the one for blinking. And maybe so it's at 4 volts. Which, given the something is, yeah, no. So that is the one problem. Something is holding the voltage down. And I haven't found it yet. I need to look under the CPU socket. Because there's only 2 places where there's a voltage drop that I've found. At the CPU socket and down in this part of the board. But I didn't think there was a voltage drop at the power input of the 555 timer. But these 2 capacitors here, I saw a voltage drop. Now the thing is, these 2 capacitors are in the, I think they're in the video signal. So, or they're in some inconsequential place that if the fact that they're at about 4 volts was preventing, I think it would prevent anything from appearing on the monitor. And the thing is, I'm actually seeing @ symbols. So I don't think those capacitors, the low voltage there is having any bearing on the CPU coming out of reset. Now, of course, the fact that the 555 timer seemed to have 4 volts coming out of it is a little concerning. But what's really concerning is the voltage drop at the CPU socket, because I think the power pin at the CPU socket is coming directly off the 5 volt plane. Although I thought about reflowing these pins. But I think I'm just going to pull the socket off so I can examine it. I have tried using the schematic and nothing. I didn't. So I tried using the schematic, but it looks like for the 5 volts in question for what I'm trying to look at is coming directly from the power supply with nothing in between it. If I'm reading the schematic correctly. And I gotta clean my desoldering gun. if I can find the correct sized pin for the oh wait, I don't think that's it. Nope, that's not the right. Oh. Well, actually, I think that one's it. Hold on, I'm having trouble with the... Actually, you know, it almost looks like I've got a piece of a lead stuck in the end of the desoldering gun. Oh, I do. How fun. There we go. I will show you the little piece I just pulled out of the end of the desoldering gun. There we go. That's better. There's a piece of one of the leads I just removed. Hey, Dave. Welcome. Yes, for those of you just joining, you'll want to go back and check out the replay at the beginning of the stream. If you didn't see my parody preview, you'll want to go back and watch that afterwards. Yeah, I've ordered some Claris the dog cow stickers for my desoldering station, but they haven't arrived yet. Huh, well, that's an interesting collection of pins that just did not desolder the first time. Well, I may have to put a dab of solder on them. So I'm just kind of refreshing the solder of these pins that did not desolder the first time. I don't I don't think most of them are on a ground plane, so I don't know what's different other than, I guess, the solder could just be old. Old and cranky solder. Joe! Okay, Joe, you're gonna, after the stream, you gotta go back and watch my preview animation that I did. And then if anyone wants to see the actual extended cut, which I will have to work on this weekend first, then you can join my Patreon or my Ko-fi. Whereas for as little as $1 a month, you get preview privileges. I have to say, it's an idea I thought of while working on the thumbnail for this. I think Joe just went back and watched it. Okay, Joe, now you see one reason why I ordered those googly eyes that I posted on your Discord. Yeah. Yeah, that thing, that animation choked my Ryzen 5 3600 down pretty good. Although, well, actually, I think in reality it wasn't the processor so much as the RAM I have. Because the processor at most was at 50% load. The GPU, I think at most was like 12 or 13% load. The memory was at like 89% rendering that thing out. Yeah. Oh yeah, I've got a script. I was writing things down all afternoon as I was working. I would think of something, so I have like it's a disorganized script, but I have a script. I am going to make a full extended version. Granted, it'll probably be a couple minutes. We're not talking about a feature-length film, but we're talking YouTube short territory if it weren't for the fact that I think YouTube requires shorts to be in portrait orientation, and I refuse to make that in portrait orientation. So, oh well, YouTube won't know what they're missing. Yes, Jeremy, I do have the faster RAM profile in CMOS. I think the thing was to render that out, it just, it needed memory that I just don't have. I think it's the motion graphics I used for the flashing lights, which you can't see most of it because I put it off screen because I just wanted the flashing light effect, not the whole thing, but I think Premiere Pro had to render it, and I had it set to 200% because I just wanted the flashing lights, and well, if you saw the animation, you'd see why I did it. But I think Premiere Pro required the RAM to probably render the whole thing, even the off-screen part. So all right. All right, I'm going to take the hint here and let's go ahead and add some solder to these pins that, oh, that one here. That one. I'm just going to go ahead and add solder to these before I even try to desolder them the first time. All right. All right. Let's see. I think this socket is almost desoldered. Let's see here. I think I got one. There we go. Okay. I think I got one pin left that is holding on for all it can muster. Yep. All right. Let me see if I can't. All right. That pin. Actually, it might come out now. I think I got it. There we go. All right, and it looks like, yeah, that looks pretty clean. I should be able to put the new socket in. All right, the one thing I wanted to look at was where the power is coming from. 2, 4, 6, 8. Well, that is not actually... It's not actually the way I thought it was. Wow, there is like a little itty bitty trace for power to the CPU. So, yeah, I want to test it before I install the new socket. I'm going to first do a little clean, if I can find where I put the isopropyl alcohol that I have open. It's probably staring me in the face. Oh, no. I thought I had a second bottle. That's right, I didn't use much last night. Yeah, Dave, you all were going quite a ways Sunday. All right, before I put the new socket on, I'm just taking a little isopropyl alcohol, cleaning the dirt around these pads. Ah. Oh, okay. There's where pin 8 is getting its power. Yeah, from this big, huge power play. Okay, trace was on the bottom of the board. So, okay, so this is how it's getting power. So there's pin 8. I think that is the leg of the decoupling cap that's above the socket. And that's a pretty big trace. So it does look pretty good, but I am going to see what things look like without the socket in place. I'm hoping that the problem is that maybe there was just a cold solder joint on that socket, or maybe I don't know, maybe one of the pins is cracked internally slightly. So first, I'm just going to take the voltmeter and then I'll take the oscilloscope. 2, 4, 6, 8. And no, that is still 3.1 volts. And yet, there's the decoupling cap, and it's at 5 volts. .1 volts. Okay. But then, here's the weirder part. Yeah, that's not good, but let's take a look at this. So, here's the oscilloscope probe. So I'm going to clip onto the negative side of that capacitor, because that's on a pretty good ground plane. That could be a distinct possibility because that should be just a flat. So there's the decoupling cap, positive side. And that's pin 8. And I'm pretty sure that's pin 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Maybe that decoupling cap is actually bad. All right, let me take a look at something here. So, Franklin Computer says that if you have garbage on the screen, that these are the components you need to check. And there is a capacitor in this list. It is CA8. A8. There is not a capacitor at A8. This is the annoying thing about that documentation. For some reason, the components listed on this chart, these locations do not match where they are on the board. Yet, this is the technical reference for, and I actually went and checked it. If you look at the page, the technical reference cover sheet, it is for assembly 11001901 Rev A. Hold please while I go check something completely unrelated to this board that Joe, let me check something here real quick. No, that's correct. Have I been chasing gremlins this entire time because I got the pin 1 wrong? Me frustrated at myself, yeah. Okay. So, this entire time, for I don't know how long, I have been looking at pin. Oh, yeah, that would be. Oh, data line 5. Data line 5 as compared to, interestingly enough, though, the pin I was using for ground was actually ground. Because pin 40, or pin 1 and pin 21 are both ground. So unfortunately, I didn't catch the mistake. Thank you, Joe. Sometimes you need a Joe on the stream. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, we have a solid 5 volts on the CPU socket. we have no funny signals on pin 8 of the CPU socket. Did I do something completely stupid yesterday? All right, please wait while I go check something on YouTube Studio real quick. Live streams. View on YouTube. Mute the video because I don't really need the audio. Oh, Joe. Oh, Joe. Where were you last night when I needed you? It's okay. I know you can't be here all the time. I think I found the source of the problem last night. Let me just pan to a really clear point in the video. Actually, that's probably as clear as I need it because Joe's here. So, Joe, you notice anything wrong there? I unfortunately can't see the chat because the chat is blocked by the fact that I put that full screen. Yeah, okay. Let me go back from full screen because Joe's probably yelling in the chat now. I put the processor in the socket backwards last night. In fact, I put both processors in the socket backwards last night. Interestingly enough, I did not kill the W65CO2 because I put it in the Atari 400 to test it and it works. Obviously, I put it in the Atari 400 in the correct orientation. Unfortunately, no one caught the fact that it was backwards in the Franklin. Not even myself. So, have I been... Let's see here. Yeah, you know, it's entirely possible I've been chasing a problem of my own doing. Probably means I could... Oh, wait a minute. These are not the sockets I want to use. Yeah, those are just the dual wipe sockets. I'm going to use the better sockets. Oh, well, that's okay. I multitask during live streams, too. So I'm going to use one of these nice turned pin sockets. And I have made sure that the notch lines up with the notch on the silk screen. And I will let Joe double check the notch is at the notch. That's not to say that the 6502s didn't go bad on this board, because quite honestly, the output of that 555 looked awfully noisy, but then again, I guess that could have been the 6502 processor. Let's see here. What would it have been? Oh, it would have been grounding the... actually, it would have been grounding that signal. That might have also done something. There we go. Yes. Computer notch. All right, so I will put this nice turned pin socket in here. That will hopefully give me years of trouble-free lifetime, assuming I don't put the processor in backwards again. All right, let me at least make sure you can see somewhat what I'm doing. Yes, everyone makes mistakes when working on electronics. The goal is to learn from your mistakes, even when you make them more than once. Because I don't think this is the first time I've put something in a socket backwards. Probably won't be the last either. But at least it does look like the W65CO2 I modified yesterday is A-OK, because it worked in the Atari 400. I mean, I might have shortened its lifespan, but, well, you can get them brand new from Mouser for $10.75. It might be available at other distributors too. But I think Mouser might be Western Design Center's preferred distributor. It just dawned on me, I should have... Oh yeah, the socket is still nicely aligned. It just dawned on me, I should have probably tacked corners and checked it, but oh well. And the cool thing is, I'm actually tempted, because I think Thomas Armstrong mentioned it last night, I'm actually tempted to make a slight mod to this board on the bottom side of the circuit board, so you'll never see it, that would theoretically enable you to insert a 6502, a 65CO2, or if you bend pin 1 up, a W65CO2, without having to mod the processor itself. And in the case of the W65CO2, you'd have to bend pin 1 up, because otherwise it'll get grounded and you don't want that. But you could just jam it in the socket and have at it. Because I think all I need to do is just run a bodge wire on the bottom of the board between the correct pin 8 and the correct pin 36. Because I looked at the pinout of the 6502, and I looked at the pinout of the 65CO2, and I looked at the pinout of the W65CO2, and I didn't see anything wrong with that plan. Because on the 65CO2 and the 6502, pin 36 is no connect, and, well, so a jumper wire wouldn't do anything on those. Yeah, Joe is in agreement, so I may do that, and actually, that would be a very easy mod. But I think first I want to, I first want to see how this board is doing now that I have tortured it. And I'm queuing for someone to say in the chat, oh, you know you wanted to replace the socket the entire time. Notch. So that's the original, well, that's the 6502 from the Atari. Because I think the 6502 that was in this when I first got it, I think was dead. That is, unless someone put it in the socket backwards. I might have to go back and find that original live stream. So, anyone want to place bets? I mean, I'd recommend not betting because it 50-50. Oh. Oh. I pushed the wrong input button, I think. Okay. All right, so it does look like the this CPU is yeah, I think this was a common CPU that came with Apple IIs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we have a nice solid 5 volts. All right, when I took the ROMs out yesterday, I did not insert them wrong. I clearly see notch goes to notch. Okay. So, the reset signal, which is actually this pin, and you can't see because I got to switch inputs, and then okay, well that's reset at 5 volts. All right, well that looks like reset is actually working correctly now that I'm looking at it on the right pin. I don't think the keyboard needs connected, and I'm not ready to risk shorting the keyboard out to anything just yet again. Of course, this is not to say that I didn't blow something up putting... Oh, wait a minute. I just noticed something. No, I did not put the CPU in backwards again. That is not the CPU that was in the Atari 400. Because I don't throw CPUs away until I confirm multiple ways that it's actually bad. That's actually the original CPU that was in this. And the reason I know that is because the one from the Atari is a B. It's a 6502B. which means now I got to figure out what I did with the 6502B. It's not in the Atari because that's the modded CPUs in that. Oh, I put it somewhere special on my desk for sure. Oh, it's probably my luck. I knocked it off the desk and bent pins. All right, hold on a second. Yeah, I don't have a big red paint marker, but I probably should get one. And there's definitely a way to convince me to buy one. Although at the moment, I'm actually, my coffees are going for a slightly different project. Oh, there's my Allen keys. Well, this is embarrassing. Oh, here's the fireball I was looking for the other day. This candy break is brought to us, not sponsored though, by Console 5. Because not only do they make nice capacitor kits, and actually I'm impressed with their pricing too, but they put a fireball in every order, which comes in handy when you're live streaming and you're feeling a little thirsty. So thank you, Console 5, for dropping candy in the order. Oh, I found it. It was staring at me the whole time. I set it on top of the desolder station. All right, there's the one I meant to put in. That's the one that was in the Atari 400. Yeah, Action Retro is using a Console 5 kit. Awesome. I know, that is the only problem, Adam. You order multiple cap kits and you get one piece of candy. Okay, so that is the processor that is deserving of a big red paint marker spot, especially if this processor just up and works. And if this just up and works, I'm going to try the Okay, Joe doesn't like fireballs. It's Joe is a lemon heads or nothing person, so hopefully I'll keep that in mind if I ever need to send Joe candy. A Jolly Ranch, Action Retro, Jolly Ranch. All right, everyone, put your favorite candy in the chat. What's your favorite candy? While I swap inputs here again. Oh, I found my remote control. It was under something, so it wasn't staring me the entire time. All right. 3, 2, 1. It works. I know that was probably the most anticlimactic it works, but it lives, yes. All right. So now I'm going to dare to do something. All right, so I've got some component leads setting on the desk. Yeah, no. What it was before was, well, I guess before it was Justin made a mistake. Okay, so I need to connect pin 8, which is this pin here. And I'm going to connect it with this, actually, I'm not going to use that wire. I should probably use an insulated wire just in case there is a break in the solder mask on the board. So this is just some solid core wire. Honestly, I could probably use a little piece of bell wire, but I think this is 24 gauge solid. All right, so it needs to go from this wire here. So that is pin 8 to pin 40, 39, 38, 37. So that pin right there. If I can find use the thinnest wire you got, magnet wire. Yeah, I'm gonna make it work with the modern chip in a way that you don't have to mod the chip, you just plug it in. All right, I got some magnet wire. It's painful to work with, but it probably is the better thing to work with. Okay. Yeah, actually, this might be easier to... All right, so I think what I need to do is get rid of the enamel coating on this one end of the wire. And I'm sure the wire is hot that I'm holding with my finger, but it is so thin. All right. Or I can use a resistor like a tiny 1/8 watt 3300 ohm or something. I don't know if I've got any 3300 ohm resistors. Although I think I could probably use a 1K ohm. And actually, I think I've got some 1K ohms. But I've already started using the magnet wire, so I'm going to run with it. It'll be nice and discreet and still easy to remove if I ever want to. Although, honestly, it can probably just stay there because I think this mod I believe this mod will be pretty innocuous. If I read the data sheets right. So, all right. I'm going to put a little piece of tape to hold that wire down. And I'm just going to... So that is pin 8. Confirm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, even though the big voltage rail there isn't like pretty good giveaway, and kind of, there we go. All right, so now I believe I've got the, yeah, actually I probably will just leave that tape just to kind of make sure the wire doesn't, just to kind of hold it down. All right, and then I need to, I want to cut the excess of this wire off so it doesn't bend over and touch that pin beside it. There we go. And then the other side needs to go to pin 36, and 40, 39, 38, 37, 36. Actually, I don't think I could have guessed any better there. So I'm going to put another little piece of tape. And now this one I am going to remove because this is just to hold the wire against the pin that it needs to go to. (40, 39, 38, 37, 36). All right. There we go. And now if I take the voltmeter and, okay, I'm not going to bother hitting relative mode, but now there should be a connection between these two pins. That resistance is being caused by my probes. And there should be no connection here, and there should be no connection here. And again, shouldn't be a connection between these two pins, I don't think. And not between those two pins. Excellent. All right. Beautiful. So now we have a stealth mod, but I'm first going to check compatibility with the stock CPU. Three, two, one. Beep. It's my simulated beep because I don't have the speaker plugged in. Excellent. And now if I take a wire to simulate me pressing the reset button, there's the cursor behind the coffee goal. Actually, that wire is about the same, probably the same copper area as the traces that are on the board. That's probably about right. Okay. Now, I don't have a 65 CO2 to demonstrate with. And I would like to put this processor back in the Atari, but why buy one W65 CO2 when you can buy two at twice the price? Because quite honestly, the modded one I did yesterday looks pretty bad. All right, so all I need to do to use this processor is bend pin 1 up. Straighten the rest of the leads. Actually, I could probably clip that pin, but put socket in CPU. And 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! You can see the flashing cursor. Pin 1 is ground, but on the W65CO2, you do not want to ground pin 1 because pin 1 on the W65CO2 is not ground. It is like the well, it's not a voltage pin, but it's actually a signal. And if you ground it, it won't work. But there you go. That is a lot better looking than my first attempt. Even if technically my second attempt is a well, my second attempt is a non-attempt. Well, the beauty of that cursor, actually, the reason it's so big is I hit the reset button a couple times so it would go above the coffee goal. But the way the Apple II derives the flashing cursor is a 555 timer, so everything that's flashing is flashing in unison. So that's attempt 1. That's attempt 2. That is so much better, and I could actually clip that pin if I wanted to. And the really cool thing is, well, this processor I could probably put in here and it'd work too. But the really cool thing is, I can put the CPU back in my Atari 400. Because I'm undecided as to which platform would have less pitfalls, pun sort of intended, with a W65CO2, which doesn't have the extra instructions by means of unimplemented opcodes. I don't know if the Atari would be better to have its original processor or the Franklin Ace 1000, which is really an Apple II clone. Actually, yeah, Jeremy, I could probably put attempt 1 in your 2C. No one will ever see it. And it works fine. I mean, I checked it out, and I can, Adam's going to send me the, when he sends me some things, I asked him if he'd please send me a copy of Computer Inspector. So I'll be able to run some software on it. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, Apple IIc would need pin 1 bent up as well. Yes. So I'm going to find a little piece of anti-static foam or anti-static bag or something to put this in. Oh, here we go. I'll put it in no, that's probably dangerous. Here we go. This is called Justin is going to make a custom carrier for this modded CPU by trimming the IC carrier so that the bent pins will fit in it. And by the way, these don't cut very well, but anyways. All right. So attempt number 1 is going to go safely in an anti-static bag. Now I just made a little custom carrier that will protect the pins. And this is the package that they came in, so there we go. I will all right, I will hold this aside safely in the package there. Actually, I think I do agree with you, Jeremy. If it's not fixed, if it's not broke, or actually retro, Jeremy, I'm getting things mixed up with the chat. So Jeremy, I agree with you. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, the Franklin Ace was broke. It had a bad CPU, so I had to fix it. So I think I'm inclined to leave the Atari's original CPU in the Atari because it was not broke. And I'll deal with the 65 CO2, because I guess the thing is, there's plenty of Apple software that was designed to run on later Apples that actually did have a 65 CO2, which did not have the unimplemented opcodes as executable instructions. The CPU would actually trap them and do what CPUs normally do. So maybe the Apple II is the correct place for the W65CO2. Yes, now that the Franklin Ace is fixed for now, which I guess this means I don't need to rush out and order capacitors. Or at least not those glass axials. I guess I will probably order the axial electrolytics. Oh, Joe is a fan of the 65 CO2. I mean, it seems to be a nice processor. I have nothing against it. I'm actually kind of relieved I didn't have to go through the pulling all the chips that the instructions said to try removing. Although I'd actually went through and found all of the transistors in my collection because I didn't have any of the type it needed. So, I guess one last look at the Franklin Ace motherboard, which I'll have to put back in the case. But I'll do that off stream because I think for the last little bit of this stream, I am going to unbox the next project I will be working on, probably starting Thursday after MacYac. So if you will hold on just a moment while I go up and get that box, I will be right back down. All right. I am back and I have the next project. Now, mind you, this is not my computer, as you can, well, I guess that's not necessarily obvious in the fact that it's in a box, but this is actually Jeremy's computer. He asked me if I would please take a look at it. As you can tell by me using my really safe box opening device, I have not seen this. I am a little fearful for what I might find inside. I'm hoping Jeremy did not put anything with his address in it. Yes, this is Jeremy's beloved Apple IIc. Oh boy. Okay. And I think I got my work cut out for me. All right, so let's see here. That's the keyboard. And, okay, I think that's some parts. I'm not going to pull the keyboard out. So let's see here. Okay, so I've got the keyboard. It looks like the keyboard's possibly going to need clean, so I may pull it on the bench. So, all right. I'm hoping the power adapter's in here somewhere. All right. So here is the main board. And it's a little rusty, a little dirty. So, what I see here is the, let's see here. All right. So Jeremy put he dropped a CPU in here that, it's a W65CO2, so it's not going to, I do not know what that wire is, Adam. It looks like it's connected to the power input. So I'll have to, so actually so we'll put the CPU that I just put in this anti-static bag in this one's place. Looks like there's a missing ROM here. That's probably, some of these caps look pretty rough, so I'm probably going to recap it before I do anything. All the RAM has got to go because that is all empty RAM. All right. Hoping most of these other chips look fine. I'm hoping that's just dirt under the glue chip, because that could be a problem. Otherwise, looks like there's just dirt on here. Can you tell you if W1 and W2 are altered? All right, just one moment. I had to find W1 and W2 first. Hold on, I gotta see what else is in the box. see, W1 and W2. Okay, I found W1. All right. I cannot see W1 unaided. This is W1. And W1 appears to be cut. So W1 looks cut. W2. W2, yeah, this thing's going to need... W2 has a solder blob on it. So I would say that W1 and W2 have been altered. Yep, bow tie cut, W2 soldered. All right, so we'll see what else is in the bag. Yeah, this is going to need some isopropyl. It looks like... Okay, it looks like UA14, I believe, is the component. UA14 is going to need replaced. I don't know what that is. I'm going to see if I can find the schematics. But it looks like UA14 is no good. I think Q1 looks a bit tarnished. It might be fine. Okay, at least that's a standard oscillator. That capacitor right there is going to be replaced before I power it up. And I have no idea what that component beside it is. It looks like it's been potted or melted, one or the other. Yep, all right, Joe has, I think, sent me a link to the schematics, so I will have to look that up. But yeah, this is probably going to need a pre-repair cleaning, because I don't think I'm going to be able to see things well enough otherwise. So it looks like there's some solder joints that I'll probably clean up. Or at least I'll check them. I know the CPU socket has been replaced, and I think Jeremy did. I'll check. I'll have to check them. But yeah, this needs a power wash. So Jeremy, to answer the, will this get a pre or post repair spa treatment? The answer is yes. Okay, so in this bag, it looks like, okay, Jeremy sent me some of the PCBs for the transceiver version of the adapter, which I probably won't use because I think the Apples generally don't like the transceivers. All right, there's a new power jack. Okay, a bunch of capacitors. See, it looks like a new power, is that a new power plug? Some more capacitors. So I did order some of the cap kits from Console 5, but I'll take a look at, okay, those are 20-pin IDC sockets. Okay, so there are some parts in here, which I can use if I need. So yeah, the power jack is in the bag. So I'm going to, all right, so let's see. There were other things in the box. Okay, there was more than just a keyboard in there. All right. Uh-oh. Yeah, I will definitely. So it looks like something fell off the keyboard. So I definitely will hold on to this box to make sure that I don't lose any small miscellaneous parts. So I will just set the although after I clean it, Jeremy, I will send it back to you in a new box, or at least make sure I remove some of the debris out of the box. I hate to clean it and then it get dirty. It's still in the box. I'll figure out what they're for. If they're not for this app, if they're not for this and I don't use them, I'll send it back to you, because then you'll have caps for something else. So I do have the keyboard. It looks like the keyboard is probably going to need cleaning, and it looks like I'm gonna have some traces to look at. That might even need a few trace repairs. Okay, 2C needs the keyboard to start properly. Gotcha. And then, oh boy. Oh, okay, maybe that's not as bad as I thought. And here's the power supply. And it's going to need cleaned before I can... Yeah, I'll do that, because that spill sheet's probably dirty beyond anything. All right, so the power supply is going to need cleaned before I can determine if, because these two components here might be fine. I can't really, there's just too much dirt on them. But yeah, this is probably going to get recapped before I power it up. Although, believe it or not, that big Rubicon looks pretty good. But yeah, luckily I do have some linear regulators on hand. Yeah, this looks pretty rough. So it's gonna, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to clean this a little bit before I start on it. I'll let Jeremy answer where it was. Yeah, that'd be great, Adam, if you would loan me a known good power supply, because that'll help with testing. I can send it back to you. Yeah, it looks like there's going to be best case. It looks like I'll probably will have to repair some traces on the keyboard. Worst case, we wait for the new thing Joe is teasing us about for the keyboard. But I'll give it a shot. Ew, yeah. In fact, I might just have to put this keyboard in the ultrasonic cleaner. Ah, this computer was used to run a surveying business in the 80s. Oh, yeah, I knew your, yeah, I remember you mentioning it had been used in business. Yeah, the keyboard is... All right, I guess just to get an idea of how bad is this? Ooh, yeah, this might be fun. I'm purposely doing this area of the board where all the traces are very obvious where they're going, just to kind of get an idea of. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have my work cut out on this keyboard. I mean, those traces look like they're there, but yeah, I'm gonna have to do some solder mask scraping to check the all those black areas on the traces. And it wouldn't surprise me if I got to run a few bodge wires. Because in fact, I'm actually one of these traces. I'm looking at it. Of course, I'd pull the microscope out to be sure, but oh, that's not. Yep, I think this is a broken trace. Oh, maybe it's not. Oh, I just had it on some corrosion. Yes, it is going to be a challenge. And in fact, Jeremy, just to be honest with you, this will probably be a I definitely won't be finishing this for Apple II July. I'll put it that way. This one may be a longer term project, but I will hopefully not have it like as long as some infamous projects in our group of friends have had their projects going on. So yes, but yeah, so yeah, this keyboard. I think I'll reach out to Rudy on this keyboard because I know for my Amiga 1000, he said that the Amiga keyboard you could put in the ultrasonic cleaner to clean gunk out of the key switches. So I may reach out to Rudy and ask him if he knows anything about the 2C keyboard. If I can do the same thing with that, or if this is or if that would be a bad idea on this keyboard. But yep, so I got the power supply, I got the keyboard, I've got the computer. I will, someday I'm going to get a floppy emu. It's on my list of things. But before the floppy emu, I have one other thing that's on my list of things to get. And that is the object of my current coffee goal, because I have an Apple IIe that I have an opportunity to rescue. So that's the hair. All right. Joe has recognized the keyboard and is telling me to not ultrasonically clean it. So gotcha. I guess I will be relying on contact cleaner. So, okay. All right. So I guess if I do need to ultrasonically clean that board, then I will have to desolder all of the switches. All right. Yes. Thank you. That's why I ask. The Amiga keyboard is apparently a much sturdier switch design, which probably doesn't surprise me. So, all right. So with that, the Franklin Ace 1000, the board actually wasn't bad. The repairer was bad, as in I put the chip in backwards. It's not going to work like that ever. Chips are not like USB-C. They can't go in either way. And And I just said that in my live stream, so no, you can't patent that idea now. Nope, no USB-C type computer chips. I said it, it's now prior art. Unless someone's already patented it before I said that. So, yes, got the Franklin Ace 1000. Got it to the point where I can start to put it back together. I'll just probably do that off stream because I kind of need to get something put back together. The Apple IIc, I've got a challenge. I do feel honored that Jeremy would trust me with his challenge. I am up to it, and I think at some point we will get it back up and running, one way or another. So, because I would like to be able to, for Jeremy to have his beloved 2C that he grew up on. I know some of his relatives used it in their business, so it'll be nice to get it back up and running so that he can reminisce. And who knows, maybe if I get it back up and running, then maybe Jeremy will be ready to live stream when he gets it back and can live stream about that computer. That'd be pretty cool. So with that, I would like to remind you to smash that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, well, what are you waiting for? I've got plenty more projects on the slate. I have projects that are rusty. I have projects that won't be rusty. Yes, thank you, Adam, for sending me a non-rusty computer. I do appreciate when not all of my projects are rusty, but I am up to the challenge when called upon. But yes, if you're not subscribed, you might miss some of these other things I have in store, because there are many computers that my generation grew up on, and they are on my list. And I hope to have them one day, because some of them are pretty cool. Some of them aren't so cool. In fact, actually, Friday, I think, well, it's not the exact computer that's on my list. It's a slightly different model, but one of my coworkers found it, and he's like, next time I'm in the office, I'm going to put this in your chair. I'm like, okay, cool. I could probably get it back up and running. But it wasn't the greatest computer in the world. But hey, my generation grew up on it, warts and all. Wall warts and all, if you will. Ha, 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 ha. So with that, it is time to draw this stream to an end. So I do hope to see you here next time. Take care, and happy retro computing. Good night. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care.